Life is hard, and you need a meaning, a reason to offset that. Now, I'm going to start off with a quick story. I don't know if any of you guys are animal lovers. If you are, say so in the comments. I would love to connect. I am an animal lover, so stories about animals really resonate with me. And I paraphrase a lot. I didn't look it up, but I know it would be easy to be found. It was in a Yale or a Harvard study, and they did this. What they did was gather a whole bunch of chicks, and they had the same amount of, they were unborn chicks, and they had the same amount of eggs in each study. And one group of eggs, they didn't touch them, they just let them sit in the incubator. The chicks had to fight and hatch and go through all the hard of breaking out of their shell all on their own. Well, the second group of eggs, as soon as they started hatching, the scientists or whoever was doing the study would assist each chick as they hatched. So as soon as they started struggling, or as soon as things got hard for them, they would help them out, and they helped every single one of those chicks hatch. Well, come to find out, some chicks take up to 48 hours to fully hatch and break out of their shells. It is that rigorous, it is that hard, it is that strenuous and exhausting. And so sometimes it just takes that long for a chick to hatch. So all the group that they didn't even touch, and they all hatched on their own, they watched them, studied them for the next year plus, and they took the other group that got help and assisted with hatching and studied them for the next year plus, and come to find out, every single chick that got assistance in hatching died before the first year. Not one of them survived and made it. And in the other group, every chick that was in the unassisted group that didn't get help hatching, every single one of them survived. And the point of all this, in one of the articles I was reading, is how important the heart is to our survival in this life. It is crucial. It is crucial for animals. It is crucial for us, even more so. And what I took from that personally is, you know what? When I'm going through hard, instead of thinking I need to find the easy way out, I need to embrace the hard, figure out what I can learn from it, and then as I'm going through, try to grow in every way that I can. And I feel like as I have gone through my hardships, as I have gone through trials in my life, that's exactly what I've done. And it hasn't been easy. I've had heartbreaking events in my life. I've talked about losing my youngest son. I've talked about getting crushed by a horse and having to be on life support for 2 weeks. I've also talked about my house burning to the ground, being diagnosed with a terminal bone infection, and the list goes on. And I can actually look back on each of those events and see what I have learned. I can see growth that I never would have gained in any other way. And there's a couple key factors to those. One is attitude. Having a positive mindset and being determined not to give up, not to throw in the towel, not to be like, you know what, this is too hard, I'm done. Because I could have said that multiple times. And actually, I'll be honest, I have. I've been in a hospital bed laying there dying, and as far as my mental strength, it was drained. I was completely drained. I was laying in the hospital bed after the horse had fallen on me and crushed me, and after I had fought so hard to live and make it to the hospital, I just got to the point where it was so painful to heal that I just couldn't do it anymore. I pretty much was saying a prayer, telling my Heavenly Father, I'm done, I cannot do it. It is too much, and I am at my breaking point. And luckily, my prayer was answered by my Father in heaven, and my Father came in and saw that I was in extreme amounts of pain, even though I was intubated, which meant I had a tube in my mouth and I couldn't talk. And because I was intubated, my hands were tied to the bed, so I couldn't move. But my dad could just look at my expression, and he knew something wasn't right. And he called the nurses and got the nurses to assist and take care of me and get me comfortable and not suffering and in pain any longer. But waiting for that moment when my dad came in to save me, pretty much, was so unbearable, and the pain was excruciating. I thought I was being tortured to death, and I'm not exaggerating. It was so unbearable. And come to find out, I just wasn't. They thought they had pain medication getting pumped through my IV, and the nurse that came in discovered that I wasn't getting any pain medication whatsoever. And I am laying there with a crushed rib cage. Both my clavicles were broken. I had 3 punctures in my lungs. I had just come out of surgery a day or 2 before, and they had just plated 8 of my ribs. And I was a wreck. And so I had so much pain. I can't even put it into words. And looking back on that time and seeing that, you know what, even though that was torture in every sense of the word, and it was so hard, and I didn't think I was going to get through it, I grew and I learned from that experience. And you might be thinking, well, what in the world are you learning and growing from laying in a hospital bed, suffering to that extent? And I'll tell you what I was learning. When I lost my little boy, that was probably by far 1,000 times harder and more painful than laying in that hospital bed. And I didn't know how I was going to get through it. It was too much. No parent should ever have to lose a child. It is unbearable. And as I was working through all of the thoughts and emotions that come with losing a child, I thought back on that moment, on how I thought that was the hardest thing I would ever go through, that was the most pain I would ever feel. And yet I was sitting in my house without my youngest son, reflecting on how much more pain I was experiencing and how much harder this was to go through. And the thought came to my mind, I gave you that experience in the hospital so you knew you could get through the pain that you're experiencing now. And as I realized that, I had that aha moment and that answer to my prayer, because I had been praying and there was a prayer in my heart. How am I going to be able to move forward? How am I going to get through this? This is too hard. That was an answer, and I couldn't get that answer in that moment when I was laying in the hospital bed. There was no way that I could get told several years down the road, you're going to lose your youngest boy and you're going to need this experience to help you through that. That's not how life works. You don't get to see into the future like that. However, if we take those experiences and hold on to them and learn from them and glean the lessons that are in those experiences, they can help us in life. And I just want to share this and hope that everybody knows that when you face those things, turn to your Heavenly Father. Pray. I have such a huge testimony of prayer. He is there. Your Heavenly Father is there. He's listening. He answers your prayers. And I can tell you right now, all the answers to our prayers are not what we want. You want to know how hard I prayed not to lose my youngest son when he was laying in that hospital bed, and before I had to decide whether I was going to give the okay to take him off life support, that I didn't get the answer I wanted. However, it was the right answer. And taking him off life support so he wasn't suffering anymore was the right answer. And the lessons that we have learned as a family and how close we have come together as a family has been incredible to see that growth. And you do learn and you do grow and you get that strength that you need to survive, just like those baby chicks get the strength they need to survive by going through the hard. And I just want to share that experience, and hopefully that helps someone else who's going through their personal hard. And just a little side note, I do have a few items in the description if you want to check them out. Links, motivational shirts that kind of help us all get through our hard as we're going through it. There's several different ones that you can look at. One of them is also a cute little hat that you're going to notice in most of my videos I wear a hat. I'm a big hat wearer. This actually is my little man's hat that is in heaven, my heavenly angel's hat that I wear on a regular basis. You'll see it on me regularly and just know where it comes from. And there's another hat that I have on there. My little man loved Legos. So if you have anyone in your life that loves Legos, or you have a family member or a neighbor or a friend, there are these cute little hats. I had my second youngest son. He wanted to just doodle with the hat because I don't know if doodle is the right word for Legos, but he got out and just was doing some fun things. And Trey Dog is my little man that we had to say goodbye to, and he loved to play football as well, and his number was 23. So my second youngest son did 23 forever, and I have that in the description below too, the link to those hats if you know anyone that wants something fun and kind of different as a gift. That is available through there, and just wanted to share that with anyone else that wants a little hug from heaven from my little man, or any special angels that you might know of up there. So we will talk to you guys next time.